In August 1590, an English ship crew waded ashore on a small island off the coast of what is now North Carolina. They were looking for 90 men, 17 women, and 11 children. They found no bodies, no graves, no signs of struggle, no ashes from a fire, no scattered belongings, no blood. What they found was a single word, carved into a wooden post. 400 people, one clue. And 4 centuries later, we still don't know what happened to them. By the 1580s, England was late to the race for the New World. Spain had gold, Spain had empire, England had ambition, and Sir Walter Raleigh had a royal charter to do something about it. Raleigh never set foot in America himself. Instead, he sent others, and his first attempt, a military outpost in 1585, ended in near disaster. Supplies ran short. Relations with local Algonquian-speaking peoples curdled into violence. The men abandoned the fort within a year. So in 1587, Raleigh tried again, differently. This time, not soldiers, families. A civilian colony meant to last. Farmers, artisans, children. Governor John White led about 115 settlers back to the same island, Roanoke, with a plan to eventually move somewhere better suited for a permanent settlement. They never got the chance. Within weeks of landing, White's granddaughter was born, the first English child in the Americas. They named her Virginia Dare, and within weeks after that, the colony was already in trouble. Relations with neighboring tribes were tense, inherited hostility from the previous failed colony. Supplies were thin. The colonists pressed White to sail back to England for help. He didn't want to go. His daughter and infant granddaughter were staying behind. But the colony's survival depended on it. And White agreed, expecting to return within months. He didn't make it back in months. He made it back in 3 years. England was at war. The Spanish Armada was bearing down on English shores, and every seaworthy ship, including the one meant to resupply Roanoke, was conscripted for national defense. White begged, petitioned, waited. By the time he finally secured passage back across the Atlantic, it was August of 1590. White's crew spotted smoke on the shore and took it as a sign of life. It wasn't. The colony's palisade had been reinforced since he'd left. Timber walls where none had stood before, as if built for defense. Inside, nothing. The houses were gone, dismantled carefully rather than burned or destroyed. Heavy items, cannon, iron bars, had been buried as if the colonists intended to come back for them. Nothing suggested a violent raid. Nothing suggested panic. And carved into one of the entrance posts, in clear capital letters, Croatoan, the name of a nearby island and of the Algonquian-speaking people who lived there. White had left instructions before he departed in 1587. If the colonists ever had to relocate, they should carve their destination. And if they'd left under distress, carve a cross above it. There was no cross. By White's own account, the absence of a distress symbol gave him hope. The colonists had likely relocated to Croatoan Island, roughly 50 miles south on peaceful terms. He wanted to sail there immediately. A hurricane had other plans. White's ship dragged anchor, lost cable, and nearly wrecked. The ship's captain, unwilling to risk his crew or vessel any further, refused to continue the search. They set course back to England. John White never returned to Roanoke. He never saw his daughter or granddaughter again. He died years later, still not knowing what had become of them. For over 4 centuries, historians, archaeologists, and amateur investigators have tried to answer the question White never got to. Theory 1. Assimilation with the Croatoan. The leading theory is also the simplest. The colonists went where the carving said. Multiple accounts from later English explorers, including reports collected decades afterward, describe encounters with indigenous communities who had gray eyes, spoke some English words, or claimed English ancestry. If accurate, this suggests peaceful integration into Croatoan or other regional Algonquian communities, rather than disappearance at all. Theory 2. Absorption by inland tribes. A related theory holds that colonists split up and were taken in by multiple different groups further inland, accounting for scattered, inconsistent second-hand reports of colonist descendants collected over the following decades rather than one unified outcome. Theory 3. Violence. Not every account is peaceful. Some later colonial-era reports, second-hand and recorded years after the fact, describe the Roanoke settlers being killed, either by a hostile local faction or in conflict tied to regional politics between rival tribal alliances. These accounts are inconsistent and unverified, but they exist. Theory 4. Starvation and dispersal. A less dramatic theory. No single dramatic event at all, just failed crops, dwindling supplies, and a slow, uncoordinated dispersal. Families splitting off in different directions to survive, some absorbed into nearby communities, others not. Theory 5. The Dare Stones. In the 1930s, a series of inscribed stones surfaced, allegedly carved by Eleanor Dare, Virginia Dare's mother, describing the colonists' fate. They caused a sensation. They were also, almost certainly, an elaborate hoax. Of the roughly 40 stones eventually discovered, only the first is still considered by some researchers as potentially worth examining, and even that one remains unproven. Modern archaeology has added small pieces to the puzzle without solving it. Excavations on Hatteras Island, believed to be the historical Croatoan, have turned up English artifacts dating to the correct period. A signet ring, gun parts, ceramics. It's suggestive, it's not confirmation. Roanoke isn't a mystery like a shipwreck or a locked room. There's no single missing piece that would crack it open. The most likely answer may already be sitting in the historical record, hiding in plain sight in second-hand reports historians have argued over for a century. But most likely isn't certain. And in the space between those two words, the lost colony has stayed lost. Not because nothing happened to them, but because we've never been able to prove which of several plausible somethings did. 400 people walked into the record books and never walked back out of them. Somewhere between Roanoke and Croatoan, they simply stopped being English colonists and started being a question with no confirmed answer. If you enjoyed this investigation into one of history's strangest mysteries, subscribe to Anomalous Myth for more documentaries about unexplained disappearances, ancient secrets, and the world's greatest unsolved mysteries. Until next time, keep questioning the unknown.